Hello, everyone. How are you today? We are here today again to begin our conversation on the project we are currently having, especially at the Royal Borough of Greenwich, but usually throughout London. It's about a Black History project titled Ori, Will I Repeat Slavery or Serve Freedom? So we're going to specifically focus on the topic of Ori, which is from our exhibition. We found out the concept of Ori is a bit ambiguous and that not many people could relate with what actually we mean by the head, which is also what Ori is all about. Ori is a Yoruba concept about the head. So that is what we're going to be discussing today. I'm happy to say that I've got somebody who is competent enough to deal with this subject in the person of Fr Kenneth Adesina. He's a Catholic priest and he has a doctoral research in issues that borders on culture, religion, and languages. In his research dissertation, he's dealt with this concept of Ori. So that's why I'm happy to bring him here today so that we're going to have conversation on the significance of Ori and what it means and how we're not going to touch so much about how it relates to AI, but I would like us to really deal on the subject of Ori and what it means, the physical, metaphysical, and spiritual dimension of the subject of Ori. So, Father Kenneth Adesina, you're welcome to this conversation. Okay, so I know we've talked a bit in the past, just an informal conversation regarding Ori, and I know it's a subject we both share and interest in. So I would like to ask you to let us know your own understanding about Ori and its relationship with the normal literal meaning of the head.
Okay. Now, thank you for this opportunity. Now, when we talk of Ori, it's a term that we actually cannot use in isolation because it touches on the Yoruba understanding of the human person. So we have to go to the realm of anthropology. How do the Yorubas see the human person? And that is where we must also pay attention to languages. When we talk of language, language is a carrier of culture, understanding of the people. And so we may not get it right if we are thinking of mere translation. I will want to take us to the realm of understanding before we talk of translation. Because if I ask you in English now, that's what do you understand when we say the human person? We'll talk of the physical, maybe some there are those who who want to limit the human person to a physical being. Those who want to say, okay, there is the physical and the spiritual. But for the Yorubas, when we talk of the human person, it's a combination of four different things. We have the ara, we have the we have the oka, and ori. Now, the ara is the physical body, including this physical head that you see. Now, when we talk of emi is the spirit, and that is how the element of the human person that helps us to know the difference between who is alive and who is dead. Because when the emi is no longer there, then that means the person is dead. And that is why when somebody is dead, we'll say emiti bolarare. That's the spirit has left the person. So when the spirit leaves, the person is dead. So those are two of the elements. The third element of the human person is the organ. The organ literally will mean the heart of the person. And for the Yorubas, it is not just the physical heart that pumps the blood. It has to do with the seat of courage. And that is why when you want to encourage somebody, you say, Omo Lokan or Oki Lokan, that he makes his heart to be strong. If we pay attention to what we have said so far, we have the body, we have the spirit, then we have the seat of courage, the heart, organ. The fourth one that is a bit fundamental is the ori. So that means in Yoruba anthropology, we talk of the human person as a combination of ara, emi, organ, and ori. Now, this ori is, at times, because of language, you want to translate. We'll talk of, we use head to translate it into English. It is more of what I will call the soul of the human person, because it is not physical. You cannot point at this is the Ori, but literally we'll try to, in order to explain it, we'll now try to distinguish between the outer head that we see, which will be part of the Ara, and the Ori, that is the inner head that we cannot see. And there's no part of the body, the physical body, when we check the human anatomy, that we can say this is the Ori, because that Ori is intangible and you cannot localize it in a place because it covers the essence of the human person. And so now this as maybe the word we can use to translate it into English should be more, in my own opinion, the soul, which is part of the person, which is also different from the spirit. Now, this Ori in Yoruba culture is the bearer of the human destiny. And it will also take us back to what is the Yoruba idea of the creation of human being. We have different myths that explain the human creation. But something that is common to all of them is that some myths will say, okay, God sent somebody to go and create, to do the work of creation. But at the end of the day, it is God Himself that gives the power, the breath, the one that's the power that gives life. And this is linked to the presence of God, the character of God that is given to the human person. For example, when we talk of this creation, everybody, after the frame has been created, will need the Ori, which is that aspect that gives, that aspect that the way in which the creator assigns destiny. That destiny, which is going to determine what kind of work the person will do, what will be the fate of the person on earth. That is the Ori. And that does not mean that it is already determined, because when the Ori is given, what we still need to cooperate is just like Ori bestows something on the human person as a gift out of the benevolence of God. Naturally, God gives that. That is Olodumare gives the Ori. But this that has been given naturally needs also to be nurtured. That is why traditionally the Yorubas believe in checking what is the destiny of a child. They will say in those that to check the what will become of this child at birth. So when we look at this concept of Ori, it is the one that animates, that determines the personality of the person. And so together with the other three elements, components of the human person, they determine who a person is. And to understand this, we will need to go back to how would the Yoruba describe the human person. The human person is described as
Anyway, there's so much to unpack there. You've already said so much that I would like us to unpack. Now, if we say that Ori is, for lack of word in Yoruba language, we could say that it is so, like you rightly said. Now, first of all, is there any correlation between the that when we talk about the Ori, which is our head, our physical head? Let's look at it in that.
Fortunately, it is only in terms of reference that we want to make references that we use we look at it too, that this is head, this is Ori. But the typical Ori is not the physical one that you see. Nobody can actually point at this is the part of the human body that is referred to as Ori. No. And that is why, to avoid the ambiguity or the ambivalence in the word, that is why at times it is qualified Ori to actually explain the Ori that we are saying. Otherwise, it will just be the one we see will be Ori Ode Orita.
Yeah, I mean, I try to understand what we mean by Ori, for those who are listening to us in English, is that Ori, that is the internal head, which is a bit abstract. That's why he talked about soul. In a way, what is your own relevance? For instance, if they would want to crown a king, they don't put the crown on the shoulder, for instance, or on the head. They still put it on the head. Do we, or for instance, if they would like to, let's say, anoint a bishop, they put oil on the head. The physical head also has something to do with the original, the internal head that you are talking about.
Yeah, for the sake of having I would like to put it, a pointer to what Orino stands for. The Ori that we see, physical Ori that we see, becomes something like a sign that points at the real Ori, which is Orino. It's just like we talk of a signpost. The signpost gives the direction to a place, but it is if you stand at the signpost, you are not yet at the destination. So when we see this physical head, it will give us an inkling into the real one that this physical head stands for. Because that aspect, the Ori, touches every facets of human existence. It is not just the physical. It is not just the ara. While this physical head is part of the ara, the body infuses into the ara, into the mid and ok, and it is intangible. So it is permitted that we use that as a pointer to the destiny. Because at the end of the day, if somebody becomes a king and is crowned and the crown is placed on this head, it is an understanding that, okay, the destiny is that he will be a king. And the head is carrying it. And just as we have it in the Yoruba adage, "Ibi ta ba pe lori, ẹnìkan fi tẹ̀lẹ̀." Meaning that wherever we call the head, you don't work with the head. Aesthetically, you still place the crown where it should be visible, with at least the highest point of the physical existence of the.
Yes. I think it's similar to your concept of outcome, which is the heart. Like, for instance, in normal English balance, when we say that somebody hasn't got a heart, that means that somebody does not feel. And in a way, how do you explain outcome, which is heart, as a significance of Ori, which is head? Because now that seems to be a bit abstract. So it has to do with the concept of love. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Am I right to say that even though they have a physical significance in the body, have a more abstract significance in our existence?
I said the Yoruba understanding of the human person, there are 4 elements: the ara, the emi, oka, and ori. And all of them are interwoven. If you take one in isolation, you will not understand the human person. Because at the end of the day, in the moral concept of the Yoruba, the 4 of them come together to form the eniyan. That means the person that has been chosen. And this person that has been chosen, he has been chosen for a purpose. Part of the Yoruba cultural belief of the reason why the human person is chosen is to fulfill a destiny of living in a community, of acting as a being. And that is why when we talk of what the person is supposed to do morally, we talk of the character, which in Yoruba is Iwa. When you break the word Iwa together, that is the act of existence.
Okay, I know it's so much. Iwa is another subject of on its own, I would assume. So let's stick with Ori, especially in relationship with those 3 subjects. That is Ara, the physical body; Emi, the spiritual; Oko, the heart; and Ori, the head. Now, I would assume that our audience will not have problem with what is physical. That's obvious. That's tangible. Now, also, if you talk about Emi, okay, probably our audience will not have issues with that. That Emi means spiritual. That is intangible, something we cannot have. But the major challenge now is that we have 2 concepts out of those 4 concepts you've initiated that seems to intermingle between the physical and the spiritual.
Yes.
Which is the Oko and the Ori. Can you throw more light on that, please?
That's what I was trying to
Yeah.
say. That the two of them interact with, in fact, the four of them, they interact with one another. Now, when we talk of the Ori, it is the bearer of the personality that, yes, I am somebody created to fulfill a destiny by God. And we will say, just like we can say it, when we talk of the Ori, includes the element of the one who has created us, who has given us a goal to fulfill in life. And while he has given us the goal to fulfill in life, he has also deposited in us everything that is necessary to fulfill that goal, governing both the ara, the emi, and the oka. And also, we will want us to exercise some level of, to say that, okay, you have a destiny to fulfill, you have a mission to accomplish. What you need, everything that is needed has been given to you, but you need to actually nurture these things that have been given to you so that you be able to fully fulfill your destiny. So we can say that when we talk of the Ori and Emi, the other component, we are talking of the realization of the human identity, the human goal, and the presence of the divine in the person. So we can say, in me, we live, we move, and have our peace.
Okay, correct. You touched on a very sensitive idea that I, as a scientist, it's a major point of debate in the science world now, relating to determinism. Are we, for instance, in science, we talk about simulation, that certain things probably have been predetermined. Do we live in a simulation? You touched on the concept of destiny. Do you believe in destiny, that everything has been determined? Like when we're talking about Ori, okay, Olodumare, who is the God, has bestowed on each individual their path in life. Now, I throw on you the sensitive topic. Do you believe in destiny? Do you believe the use scientific balance determinism?
Now, when we talk of destiny, it depends on what you understand by the word destiny. Are you talking of something that has been determined, that no matter what you do, it cannot be changed? No, that is not it. And that is why I said, in the Yoruba understanding of Holy, it is this, that yes, the Creator, in sending this person to the world, has a plan that this is what you should do, this is what we should become, and already put in place the opportunities that is going to make that realizable, that it is not going to be a goal that is utopic. And it is now left to the person to now look at what are the resources, how will he make use, avail himself of all these opportunities to achieve what it's meant to be. And that is why the Yoruba in those days will go to the Orumila to ask, Kini a cousin that what is going to be the future of this child? And when they realize the future through in the ancient time, even now, I mean, for some people, what is going to be the future? They try to really put the child in that light. It's just like what we have in the Western world, where they think, oh, this child, people psychologists will say a child around 3 or 4 is already showing the signs of what the child will be in future. And that is why what is, oh, this child could be a medical doctor. You see the kind of toys they will be buying for the child, and the child, the true play acting, the child is already preparing for that. The Yorubas, they have the metaphysical way of getting to that. But it's not as if it is already determined. Because if it is already determined, then there's no point in working for anything. Because whether we work or not, that has been determined will be fulfilled. But what's the destiny? What Ori stands for is that God has a plan for this person. And that person should not, for example, if the Ori is that this person is going to be a farmer and is going to make it as a farmer, if that is known, he will be introduced into things that have to do with farming. But one thing we need to really be careful or pay attention to when we talk of this is that when we talk of determinism, that something is determined, is it the foreknowledge that is making us to think that if somebody has a foreknowledge of this is what we are doing, and if we continue like this is going to be the end point, is that why we say things are determined? No. The foreknowledge does not excuse the freedom of choices that human beings are making. If I have the choice to, even if it is, if I have an understanding, for example, it's Christianity. In Christianity, we talk about salvation, that God has a plan that everybody will be saved. Now, the salvation that God has already prepared for everybody is already there. So if we take it to the realm of determinism, we will be taking it out of context. It is there, the salvation has been won by God, and it is made available. But everybody will need to work for this salvation.
I learned that. I've got another question. Do you believe that is a bad or a so-called destiny? Like, okay, if somebody has been like, his line, runs in life as is going to lead, no matter what he does, it's going to lead into a tragedy.
Before I answer that question, I want us to also know the source of this story, the Olodumare, or we talk of the Almighty God, is it good or bad? Now, there are times when we don't understand the plan of God for us. There is this story in the Ifagokus of Afro-Akwe, who was going to choose his Ori in company of two other people, Orisha and Oritebere. When they got the other two, they went straight. Wakwe, who happened to be the son of Orunmila, who went to his father. Orunmila consulted with Ifa and got the go and do this sacrifice. It was done. They said, okay, take this money with you, and you must spend this money in the place where you are going to choose your Ori. When the other two got to the place, they met a woman waiting there. They didn't see Ajala Labo, who was the delegates who mowed the body, and we give the body to pick the olive that will now complete the human person, making the person ready for the journey to the world. So they didn't see him. They saw the woman there. They just look around for beautiful olive, and they pick the beautiful ones. The answer that people will say, oh, this person is beautiful. After we got there, saw the woman and asked the woman, what is the problem? The woman was, okay, Ajala Lama is not around though. And because Ajala Lama was owing the woman and out of fear was hiding.
The Ajala Lama is like a mythical figure that's like
Yeah, he is the one in charge. It is in his domain that will keep the lead, or he just like everybody may make a choice. So after based on the wisdom we already got from Orunmila, now when they asked the woman how much is Ajala owing you, he said it was the amount he had on it and he paid. So after the payment, the woman left and Ajala just came out from where he was hiding. So after now greeted is like, okay, yeah, you have done well because he helped Ajala. Ajala, let me take you to where good heads are, and he picked the good one. When the kid then got to the world, and after when became prosperous, they were asking, how did you do it? And that is to say now, we have all these things in place for us. But at the end of the day, anything about your local sermon, that when we learn from those who know better than us, we will not make a mistake. There are times that we will think everything is determined and we are not, God has not given us the chance to be successful. No, God has given everybody the opportunity to be successful. If we don't know how to be successful, then we need to seek more of God. We need to seek a deeper understanding into why God has created us. We need to also
now talking of seeking, and I will know there are many forms of seeking. What would be your own advice for those who are like busy trying to know what the Almighty, the Olodumare has destined for them, rather than, I know there is a concept in Yoruba, they said, be careful. That means you stand still and let your destiny determine. Don't start looking for. What will be your advice with that? Because it's so common in our heritage.
even in Yoruba, the Yoruba concept of Ayama does not foreclose the human effort. And that is why Yoruba will say in a proverb, "Oh, meaning that you go to the palm tree and you start looking up to see uh, presenting your intention that palm oil should flow down. That before the palm oil will come down, you will need to first take your cutlass, go up, cut it, and bring out for the palm oil to come down. That even with the destiny that we have, the ori that has been given to us, it's just like what I said in Christianity, that God has a plan for us. But that plan of God, we will need to work to receive the fulfillment of that plan. Everything in Yoruba concept we go back to why do we even have the body is to maintain a perfect image of the human person in India. And we must maintain that being of India with good character to remain the human person. Wow. If we don't have it, then something is missing. We will not fulfill that destiny.
Wow, that says a lot. So I think this is a good place to stop for now. We've dealt with various dimensions of the concept of Ori. It's a bit a weighty figure, subject to deal with. But I'm happy that Father Kenneth Adesina has done a lot of justice to that today. So thank you for coming along. It's a pleasure having you, and we hope when we call you next time we have Saros. Thank you, everyone. It's nice having you watching this. Please like and subscribe. I will bring you more topics next time. Thank you. Bye.